So today we're going to discuss the White Star Line ship that really started it all. Let's discuss the original steamship Oceanic from 1870. Originally built in 1870, the Oceanic was the first ship fielded by the newly reborn White Star Line under the leadership of Thomas Ismay. It was named after the parent company conceived to manage the White Star Line, the Oceanic Steam Navigation Company. She was launched in 1870, but finished in early 1871. Her initial maiden voyage, and the first voyage for the White Star Line as a whole, would begin on March 2nd of 1871 and would be a relative failure, with the Oceanic getting out of port but having to return due to a mechanical failure, mostly due to overheating bearings. After returning to port, replacing the bearings, and being recoaled, she put back out to sea on the 16th of March, 1870, and would ultimately complete this first voyage with only 64 passengers on board. However, when she arrived in New York, she received much fanfare, and her popularity would increase from there. In 1872, the Oceanic would go in for her first major refit, which would see her masts cut down to size, and her forecastle enlarged to allow the ship to better tackle the large Atlantic swells. After those upgrades were completed, she resumed her work on the New York to Liverpool route connecting England and the United States until 1875, when the Britannic entered service for the White Star Line. As a result, the Oceanic was pulled from that premier route to allow a spot for the larger, more modern Britannic to operate there, and she was put into storage briefly before being chartered to the Occidental and Oriental Line, or the O&O, operating in the Pacific. There she provided service between San Francisco, Yokohama, and Hong Kong. However, when she was transferring from Liverpool to San Francisco to begin her route there, she actually did set a speed record for that route, a trend that would continue as she would later set a speed record for the route between Yokohama and San Francisco, finishing that trip in a little over 14 days. While serving with the O&O, Oceanic would remain in her White Star Line colors with her iconic White Star Line funnel, and her officers would remain White Star Line officers. However, the rest of her crew were provided by the O&O and were mostly Chinese. In 1879, she returned to Liverpool for an overhaul where she received new boilers, before being sent back to the Pacific to continue serving with O&O. During this time, however, she had her most significant incident. On August 22nd, 1888, while sailing through a fog in San Francisco Bay, the Oceanic collided with the SS City of Chester. The collision ultimately sunk the City of Chester, killing 16. In January of 1890, Nellie Bly would take the Oceanic from Yokohama to San Francisco as part of her Around the World in 70 Days voyage. In 1895, however, the Oceanic became a little too old for active service with the O&O and was returned to the White Star Line, who intended to modernize her and put her back on routes operated by the White Star Line. However, when they brought her to Belfast and took a good look at her, they found that she had aged quite a bit, and that repairing her and putting her back into service was not necessarily financially viable. As a result, she was sold for scrap in 1895 and would be scrapped later that year at a scrapyard on the River Thames, ending the long career of the Oceanic, one of the most influential ships in the history of the White Star Line, and the ship that really started it all. If you'd like to learn more about some of the other ships in the Oceanic class, or learn more about the Oceanic class as a whole, I'll leave a link up here to my playlist on the Oceanic class, where I cover each of the Oceanic sisters, their career, and I have a video talking about the general facts about this class. And if you enjoyed this video, it would mean a lot if you head down below, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Barbette and Binnacle, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.